For some time, I wanted to cover the topic of knights and all things related to them. Morrowind is not your typical Western province and offers quite a unique view on this well-established class. So, while preparing, I revisited some of the NPCs in-game and then I remembered this one particular character. So instead of covering the wider topic, I decided to focus on this character alone. As I realized just how badass he is, I believe that I have found an ideal Dunmer Knight. You may or may not agree, which is fine. I'd like to hear everyone's opinion. So, how do we start? I guess from this little strange faction. Buoyant Armigers. Now that's a name I struggled pronouncing for too long. Buoyant Armigers, Buoyant Armigers, but I think I finally got it right.
Wealth beyond measure, Outlander.
They were always such a strange group, hanging around most dangerous remote locations like Ghostgate or Molag Mar, adorned in full chitin or posing in that glamorous Daedric and glass armor. Armigers are one of the most enigmatic factions of Morrowind, with their origin kinda explained within the deep esoteric tomes of 36 Lessons of Vivec, which again makes them even more mysterious. While we do know of their general purpose, there's very little information on Armigers' daily life routines. What do they do between missions and such? Well, like I said, it just happens that one of the most interesting badass characters in the game is a Buoyant Armiger, and today it's all about him. Salyn Sarethi, a Dunmer Knight, favored even by Lord Vivec himself. You know, it's been a while since I made a character-focused video, so let's head to the Ghost Gate and jump right into it. With that said, my name is Alec, and thank you for watching.
What is this regarding Nord?
In order to better understand Salyn Sarethi, often considered the best of the Buoyant Armigers, let's take a quick look at the faction itself. What do we know about these Dark Elven Knights, the Buoyant Armigers? Well, for starters, game provides few short descriptions. They serve the temple as champions and knight-errants, and are a small military order exclusively dedicated and answering to Lord Vivec. But the following quote gives us a little bit more insight. The Buoyant Armigers pattern themselves on Lord Vivec's heroic spirit of exploration and adventure, and they emulate his mastery of the varied arts of personal combat, chivalric courtesy, and subtle verse. In other words, Buoyant Armigers are Vivec's blades. Their every action, every breath is dedicated to Vivec. Unlike standard heavy armored knights found in the western provinces, they are lightly armored, stealth-based warriors specialized in destruction magic, short blades, and poetry. Lots and lots of poetry, but more on that later. You see, unlike the overly serious and moody Ordinators, Buoyant Armigers face the very hell of Red Mountain with a smile, a cheer. For them, it's all a chance of proving yourself worthy in the eyes of the living god. To be a Buoyant Armiger is to be a light-hearted, well-spoken adventurer, crusader against the enemies of the temple all across Wardenfell. Yet, even among this elite group of hardened warriors apparently worthy of serving the living god, there is, like we said, one who stood out, one who proved himself enough to receive a personal gift from Lord Vivec. But what's rather interesting is that we can meet Salyn Sarethi through not one but two quests. And that's a lot. You see, game doesn't involve us that often with the Buoyant Armigers. We can't join this faction, and throughout the game, Armigers remain largely untouchable. But on the other hand, there are quite a few prominent, unique Armigers. So having all this spotlight on Salyn Sarethi alone is rather telling of his outstanding character. So let's take a look at these two interactions. First one is related to the Imperial Legion's questline. A Knight Protector of Fort Hawkmoth, Fral the White, an interesting character in his own right, will send us to duel Salyn Sarethi. However, this isn't a duel with swords, but with words. You see, in one of the funniest and more unique moments in game, Salyn Sarethi will claim that Legion doesn't have courtesy. It's such an unusual quest, especially for the Legion. It's one of the rare moments where Morrowind attempts a different kind of game mechanic, sort of a speechcraft battle. It's rather simplistic, but more than a welcome change from usual go kill this bandit type of a quest. So in order to successfully complete this duel, our character needs to have either a high enough intelligence or to be in possession of a specific book. And if we win, Salyn will simply admit being wrong.
Yes, I admit I was wrong. You have proven to me that the Legion has courtesy.
But what's kinda interesting is that Fral the White seems to hold Salyn in rather high regard. If we lose, Fral won't even be mad at us. On the contrary, he will admire our courage to even challenge the famous Armiger.
Yes, I heard. You lost the contest with Salyn Sarethi, but do not be ashamed. You accepted the challenge and matched wits with the best of the Buoyant Armigers.
However, if we at any point in the game kill Salyn, even prior to accepting this quest, Fral will tell us that we have no courtesy, and outright he will hate us.
You murdered Salyn Sarethi. Now the Armigers will never accept us as equals. I can't expel you over this, but I can still give you orders. Leave Ebonheart now, and do not return.
And he isn't the only admirer. Our second encounter with Salyn is through the Thieves Guild. More specifically, Master Thief Jim Stacy, and he will ask us to return the stolen sword Enamor to Salyn Sarethi. So again, in a strange twist, we are asked to do something rather opposite from what's expected from us. We aren't stealing, but returning the stolen blade. Blade that was gifted to him by Lord Vivec. And if we talk to Alding, who is responsible for stealing the blade, we will find out Jim Stacy is such a big fan of Salyn Sarethi that he even reads and quotes his poetry. So yeah, this also confirms that Salyn Sarethi has a published book of poems. So the common thread between these two quests is that two important high-ranking Outlanders have respect or admiration for Salyn Sarethi, a member of an exclusively native Dunmer faction. And so it's perhaps not so surprising that Salyn got a personal gift from Vivec. By the way, this short blade called Enamor is obviously named after a word enamored, meaning in love, which can be understood in a number of different ways. My interpretation is that Salyn is simply the best of the Armigers. A true poet, skilled warrior, honorable, charismatic, outgoing. In so many ways he resembles Vivec, known as the poet-warrior god. I mean, while stationed in one of the harshest, most dangerous locations in Morrowind, Ghostgate, Salyn takes the time to challenge the Legion in a game of courtesy, while being respected by both one of the highest-ranking Legion officers and the Master Thief himself. Just how more badass can you be? And to me, all of this speaks in favor of Salyn Sarethi, a noble Radoran member of Buoyant Armigers, as being the ideal Dunmer knight. So what do you guys think?